The National Association of Black Journalists held their 2024 annual convention July 31st through August the 4th in Chicago. Among the many informative panel discussions during the convention was the Black Mayor's Dilemma, how the media covers Black elected officials. It was organized by the Black Male Media Project and powered by the Tegna Foundation. The panelists were Deputy Mayor Garion Gatewood of Chicago, Mayor Paul Young of Memphis, Tennessee, Deputy Mayor Karen Lane of Los Angeles, Mayor Chukwi Antar Lumumba of Jackson, Mississippi, and Mayor Eddie Melton of Gary, Indiana. And it was moderated by Victor Blackwell, anchor and correspondent at CNN.
I know that Memphis and Jackson, you are both majority Black cities.
Correct.
I'll start with Mayor Young and then Mayor Lumumba, you're right after that. Does the City Hall press corps, the reporters who cover your administration, reflect that diversity?
I think so. I think our media does a good job locally of having a number of African American represented. I see a few of them here today. Shout out to all the Memphis crew. But I think we do a pretty good job. Memphis is the largest majority Black city in the nation. That's a recent statistic that happened, I think, 2022 or so. And one of the things that I've been trying to do since I've been mayor is to lean into it as a positive, because we know how African American cities are typically portrayed. Typically, you hear about the crime, you hear about the poverty, you hear about the health disparities, you hear about all of the negative statistics. And one of the things that we're trying to do is promote some of the good things that come out of African American culture, the history, the music, the culture, the food, all of those things that people are drawn to. And we want to use that as a means to grow our city and try to remove some of those negative connotations. And we want to work with our media to do that.
Yeah. So I would say that we do see representation that looks like us, not as much within the coverage of City Hall. And even though we see Black reporters, what concerns me most is that I'm not certain that we still are in control of our narrative. Often the news directors don't look like us, don't live in the city, and have more sway over what is actually placed on the TV. And that is of great concern, because there are narratives that want to influence us, that we are one thing, that we're a monolithic people, or that crime or violence is innate to our communities. And it is a more difficult task to push the positive narratives. When I see the great, talented, and amazing and brilliant things that our young people are doing, we see little to no interest in those things. And I think that in a conference like this, we have to reflect on the history of people like Ida B. Wells, right? Who understood the importance of controlling that message, controlling those narratives. And so that's something I want to lift up in this discussion.
Have you had that conversation with these news directors? What do you think your role is as the mayor, talking to these local stations about the narrative that you see that are swayed?
No, I think it's an important part of my work, and I have had discussions with the news directors. Often it's more of a patronizing discussion. But what we attempted to do, and something that we might need to return to, is early on when we came into office, we tried to create a media roundtable so that we would talk about how narratives need to be balanced, that we had no problem with answering the difficult questions. In fact, we're the first administration to institute a Monday afternoon press briefing every single Monday. We did that not because we just want to be on the TV, but we wanted to avail ourselves to the media so that they wouldn't charge us with being unavailable and not being accountable to them. And so that was a part of that mission. But along with being available for what is, invariably dominated by negative stories within those press conferences, we like to see balance in that, so our community and our children have an understanding of who they are.
Deputy Mayor Gatewood, I think it was the second anniversary of former Mayor Lori Lightfoot's inauguration. She isolated a day and said, I will only do exclusives, one-on-one interviews with reporters of color. And there was a huge backlash to that. And I know you work for a different mayor. But has there been any change in the diversity of the reporters who cover City Hall here in Chicago since then?
I mean, we can be honest here. Most of the reporters who cover City Hall don't look like us, right? And I think it's important that we try to find ways to open up avenues to that. Meaning, some of the work that we do is instead of having folks come down to City Hall, we bring City Hall to them. So we do things like, you know, we call it Take Back the Block. We'll literally go on some of the most violent blocks in the city. And if you want to come and cover that story, you come outside with us. Because I think it's important that it's not just, we don't just put the onus on black media to show up for us. We have to open up pathways for us to actually be there for them. You know, we sit here in the third largest city in the country, and I think we have to continue to create pathways to open up larger trajectories for black media here in the city. That way they create pathways to tell our story, because everybody didn't get our story right. You know, I saw a tweet just yesterday, and I hate Twitter with a burning passion. But I saw a tweet from the CTU president here, and she responded to a local reporter. She said narrative was a choice, right? And it is, right? You think about some of the things that are covered and how they're covered. It is by design, where, you know, and I know we're going to get into the violence conversation in a moment. You know, we have historically been referred to as one of the most violent cities in the country, and people get fixated on the violence in the city of Chicago. But if you look at year over year, the violence continues to move down. Crime across the board continues to trend down. But when you report violence every Monday morning, it certainly doesn't feel like it. So again, here there is a choice, and we have to do a better job of opening up doors for our brothers and sisters in black media here, so they can not only carry our message, but have that platform so they can carry whatever message they need to deliver to.
Deputy Mayor Lane, do you have a different expectation of a reporter of color than you do a white reporter?
I'm glad you got that one, sir.
No pressure in this one.
You know, I think personally I would, right? But is that fair to journalists of color? Probably not. I do think that what we try to do in the city of LA, and in particular with this administration, first black woman of the city of Los Angeles being a mayor, you know, there's several strategies that we use to make ourselves available to all different types of media outlets. One thing that we do in particular is make sure that the mayor is available to community papers, and that she actually spends time with, many of those community papers are led by people of color, African Americans in particular, and so she has those conversations and convenings on a regular basis. But I think it would be unfair for them not to ask, for us to expect that black journalists are not going to ask us the hard questions, are not going to hold us accountable. That wouldn't be fair. I mean, the personal part of you wants you know, hey, come on, we're trying, right? But I think what the expectation would be that black journalists hold us accountable. Those being closest to the ground, closest to communities that are disproportionately impacted by the social issues we're trying to address. And so I think I would answer maybe a little bit different as I think about it, that the expectation is not to be easy on us. The expectation is that black journalists will ask us those hard questions, but also be more objective in presenting our responses, right? I think more balanced in that approach, in reporting news about our work.
Mayor Melton, same question.
Coming to this role, I just expect to be held accountable no matter who is interviewing me or who's covering whatever situation in our city. I think on a personal perspective, like you just mentioned, I do think I would consider some level of understanding of what our community experiences. As they're writing or crafting that message will be more of a genuine expectation that it will be articulated better or stronger. So I think it's a balance of both. Knowing that you're holding a public office, there's a level of accountability that you owe to the people, and it's a role and a job that the media has to do to communicate in transparent ways. So that's the kind of the expectation I have.
If you like content like this, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you for watching.